Welcome, friends and brothers. Rob and Marcus here. We are excited to talk to you about topics related to modern men. The mission of Friends and Brothers is to change lives and be a resource for you as you find or regain your inner self. Thanks for tuning in today as we talk about the competition mindset. So everyone has dreams, but we often fail to seek to make them come true. We want to talk today about a little bit about those goal setting, and how we as coaches in our respective field get our athletes to sort of see to envision, not only envision, but execute on that vision.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Rob, I'm going to just jump off this deep end of the pool here and ask you, what's that starting place that you say, for example, because I'm not in your field, if I was to come to you and wanted to do a triathlon, where would we start?
First, you would start by saying, "Hey, Rob, I wanted to do a triathlon."
Oh, there we go. I just said
it. Then I'd say, "Great, let's have a conversation." And the way I start every new prospective client or athlete up is I do have that initial conversation with them, and I prefer to do it where we can talk. Like if we can do a video call, I just prefer the human interaction more than just a phone call. But some people are not comfortable at first, so we're flexible. But I do like to have that conversation. It helps me get to know them a little bit, and I'm just asking a few questions to understand a little bit more about what they want out of having a coach, and understanding what those goals are or objectives. And from there, if they're on board with that initial conversation, then I actually send them out what I call as an athlete assessment or questionnaire. And that in itself is actually, I think it's a 5-page blank document with 5 pages of questions. And the first question on there is, what's your daydream goal? Okay. And it should be related to, endurance activity or athlete sports. But then I ask for additional objectives in there. But the assessment that I have them complete is a written exercise for the athlete to really write out what it is, and kind of assess where they are, where they want to go, and help give me information and insight to then draw up a plan that helps them get there. Right. And that's what they're coming to me for, I believe, is, giving that coaching, that guidance and support that they need to help them achieve that particular goal or objective. So after they have that assessment, I have them email it to me, and then we set up another time to go through that. I find that particular assessment really beneficial, not just for me for those insights, but I really think it's eye-opening for the athlete themselves. As they put together everything, they're writing all these different things down, and they might be starting to connect some dots. And through the process, they're learning hopefully a little bit more about themselves as well, and understanding now there's all these different pieces that come together that are going to help them move forward and work through that. I actually just had a new athlete assessment completed earlier this week. We had that conversation, and we identified when they're going to start up, and a lot of that's those questions, because in my case, especially more recently over the last couple of years, the athletes I'm getting are kind of first timers. They're wanting to complete their first triathlon or their first maybe 70.3 type of triathlon. So they might have done a sprint, but now they want to do a longer distance, which takes a little bit more of a concerted effort in terms of planning and putting all the pieces together. Because it's not just swim, bike, and run, but you have your nutrition to think about. You have the equipment. You have the transitions to think about. All these different factors and variables that need to come together on race day, so you can have a successful race. Because race day is only one time or one day, but you're talking in upwards of maybe 6 months, even more for full Ironman. But you're talking about 6 months to really get ready for an event, and you want to make that, you want to have fun with that and be successful. So I use that assessment as that starting point to really have that conversation and get them to understand and maybe shift some ideas around so that I can give them a training plan that works for them based on their schedule, based on their capabilities, so that they can train consistently, injury-free, and have a really great experience, not just for race day, but through the whole process as well.
So let me, if I could ask you a bunch of different questions.
Sure.
Okay. So we've got what I hear is like a person like myself, maybe I want to do a triathlon. I'm coming to you, and the goal is to do such and such triathlon. But the expectations are now getting set. This is going to be 6 months or 3 months or a year to plan this out. So I guess I'm assuming, based on what I'm hearing, because it sounds very similar, is you're setting smaller goals along that line. Is that right?
Yes, in fact, so where I'm asking what their overall, their big dream is, what their more immediate goal is, what we're talking through is, so for example, I have an athlete, they want to do this one new race or this triathlon for the first time.
Right.
During that conversation, I'm kind of illustrating to them, that's a great goal, right? But that's just a milestone in their overall scheme, right? And now in the assessment, I'm also getting them to sorry about that. I'm getting them to identify what are their training goals and objectives as well. So we are doing different tests and assessments throughout the process because a training day, you might have a good training day. You might then have a bad training day, but it doesn't mean your goal is like, you're all done, right?
Right.
We're looking at what's the long-term picture. And with endurance sports, everything is long-term. Even in a sprint race, it's still
That's what
long-term.
I'm hearing. Right. Okay.
Right. So I'm looking at enjoying the whole process and helping them see the whole process, right? Not just that one time, that end result, because that end result is not an end means. It's yet another milestone in their journey.
Yeah, I mean that's the big goal, but then you have, like you said, all these little goals along the way. So they have to at least enjoy the process in some capacity. Otherwise, what's the point?
Right.
Because you get the game day. I almost said, but you get to a competition day, and it's like, okay, I showed up, and now I have to compete.
Yes.
So I'm going to participate, and I want to finish.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And that's actually another thing too, is, getting the mental game and mindset. That's part of, for me, that's part of the training plan I set for my athletes.
Oh,
So come race week, one of their workouts is actually yet writing out again. I asked them to write out their race because there's a million things that can go wrong on race day that you can't control. Right. Once you envision it in your mind and then you write it down, if that variable that you can't control actually comes to fruition, you are already mentally ahead of the game versus anyone else who did not do that. So one of the more common things is what happens if you get a flat during a race, right, on the bike. It happens a lot in races. It's happened to me. I've gotten a flat. Fortunately, it was only a quarter mile to go on the bike, so I could just, but you have to be prepared with these things. If you're not prepared with these things, you might not finish the race, right?
Right.
And it allows you, because again, if you're planning 6 months for an event, you want to do everything possible to make sure that you're going to be successful with that event, right? And now, if you get a flat, maybe you're not going to have the fastest bike split ever, but you're still going to finish the race and you're going to have a strong race. And just because you get a flat and have to spend a couple of minutes fixing it doesn't mean you can't have a great race. It doesn't mean you can't come out of that and say, I fixed a flat and I still made this particular, time overall. I still qualified for, nationals or worlds or whatever I did. There's a million sort of little goals and achievements you can still take out of that despite, overcoming things that you can't control.
So within that goal process and the training process, then you're working with your people in how to deal with adversity, because at the end of the day, like we were just talking about, they want to compete and do this triathlon, but you also have to train the mindset to understand that stuff happens.
Stuff
and you
happens.
have to persevere through whatever's going to happen. So I can completely see, other parts of the goal setting process, not only just be the training from a cycling, a swimming, and a running, but the nutrition and the mindset aspect. I mean, we don't do that from that high of a level when it comes to the athletes that I work with. Now, again, not working with endurance athletes, but from a strength training and body composition changing modality, we go through a similar process. I think it's more chunked down because, if somebody's coming to me or I'm coming to them because I see that they need to accomplish what they've been trying to accomplish, but they're stuck in this, I call it like the hamster wheel.
Right.
Um, I think you had made mention to something along these lines from a mental standpoint, but oftentimes my folks are going to set the bar down here, right? And they can do up here.
Yes.
And we've talked about this in other podcasts, but that's our not our job, but that's our focus from a coaching standpoint is to build that goal system in place for them to accomplish the end result. In your case, again, I know it's more of a competition and those kinds of things. In mine, again, it's either losing overall body composition, body fat, all those kinds of things.
But you can have checkpoints, right?
Yeah, right.
And those are milestones as well. Similarly, like on a triathlon training plan, I might have, my athlete any given month, they're going to probably do a swim test day, as part of your workout in 1 week. The next week, they might do a bike test in their workout. So, but on a monthly basis, they're doing a swim test, a bike test, and a run test.
To evaluate where they are in the process.
Just kind of give that earmark, that little small checkpoint or milestone point to, as their training goes along.
Progress.
Right. And again, they might, that 1 month that might be not as impressive as they hoped, right? Sometimes it might supersede that. You talked about, this is what they want, this is what they can achieve, right? And I see that all the time. I see these assessments come in the first round of that assessment, right? Or first draft, if you will. And they say, I want to do this. And I'm like, you can do that. Like you're going to have that accomplished, in 3 months.
Right.
What do you want to do beyond that? Because there's so much more you can do. And that's what I find myself having more of a conversation of, is like kind of like helping to open up that envelope and just break through these internal barriers that everyone has for themselves of what they can do. Our human body is so much more capable of what we think we can do. It's amazing. Like even myself, I even have those barriers, but just it's a process of just growth. And if we can,
part of that again comes down to goal setting, but at the same time is setting expectations as well as one's limiting beliefs. Not to throw a modern term out there, but it's a very valid term. When you come into something and you only believe that you can, like me.
Say that term again. I'm going to make sure say that one more time.
Limiting
beliefs. Yes.
It's just a modern term that gets thrown around, but I'm going to use myself as an example. I'm just, like I said, I'm going to speak it out there, but I'm a terrible runner because it hurts. But at the same time, like you're saying, is I know your capabilities are much further than what you think you can do. You just have to get past, you have to train through the process to get there.
Yep.
I understand that. I know that. It's just not something I enjoy doing. If it was moving equipment or weight through space and doing that, I enjoy that immensely. So I'm going to have myself or somebody do those kinds.
On the running side of things, even with triathletes or just runners, a lot of people are like, I hate running because I always hurt, or I'm injured all the time. It's okay. So this is a question I usually come back with is, so you think you hate running right now because you might not just be doing it right. So that's maybe get a coach and so you can enjoy it because it's a great activity. I don't know how many times personally I've been able to mentally tune out. And so for me, running is sometimes very much therapeutic.
Oh, sure. Because you're getting in the zone.
I'm zoning, and I do that with swimming and biking too.
Yeah.
So it's like,
That you train your mindset and your body. And I absolutely, I agree with you. I mean, it's one of those things, like, I know that my technique is terrible. I pound the concrete when I run. I know that. Sorry about that.
no worries.
So at the end of the day, when it comes to setting goals, again, we're talking about getting the person, whether it's in my field or my background or yours, is to get them initially to write out what that dream or whatever that goal initially is going to be, and then to go on a timeline of some kind. Mine's much shorter again, so I'm going to equate going to a competition from a triathlete standpoint and a person who, say, is coming to see me and they need to lose 50 pounds. So to lose 50 pounds of body fat, that in a healthy way, that's going to take about 6 months.
Right.
You can do the quick fat loss kinds of things that are thrown out there, whether the MLMs or the medical based types of things. But from a goal standpoint, I will turn people away who come into me and they set these unrealistic goals or expectations initially. I have to share with them, listen, that's not how I work. You're not ever going to get that from me. I want you to invest in yourself long term. I'm going to teach you how to be strong mentally, physically, as well as in your nutrition choices. And you want to come on for the ride, let's do this. But
Right.
Oftentimes, and again, I want to go back to your point though, oftentimes people don't know what they can do because they've never committed themselves to the consistent process of doing it. That's why I admire, when it comes to like triathlons or these distance runners, you guys can get into these mindsets where it's long and tedious almost, to my way of thinking, right? I mean, I know it's not tedious. I'm saying you can
It
get
grows.
into the mindset of
It
that.
grows though, because I mean, I didn't just get into it and say, I'm going to do an Ironman now, right?
Yeah.
It carry the one,
Yeah.
I, I'm going back probably 15 years that I've been doing triathlons, and it was the first year I only did sprint races, and then the second year I think I did an Olympic distance race.
So a sprint race, it sounds like it's a short version of a full-on triathlon, or?
So you have 4 main distances of triathlon. The one that's most common is the Ironman distance race, and that's the most common endurance long distance endurance race. So a full Ironman is a 2.4 mile swim plus a 112-mile bike, then a marathon run.
Yeah.
Right, and you have 17 hours to finish that. A half Ironman is one half of everything therein. So it's a 1.2 mile swim, 56-mile bike, half marathon run, right?
Yeah.
And then after that, or down below, you have your shorter distance races. So you have an Olympic distance race, and if you're tuned into the Tokyo 2020/2021 Olympics, that's the distance that the athletes are racing in the Olympics. That is a 1,500 meter swim, roughly 25 mile bike, and then a 10K run, and then a sprint. They typically differentiate, but that's usually approximately a 400 to 500 meter swim, 10 to 12 mile bike, and a 5K run.
So wait, I want to stop you right there. So those sound to me like, in what you're training folks for, those would be a direction to go from a migration path into that.
Typically,
goal.
you progress from sprint, just because you're trying it out, right, to Olympic to half. I've had a few athletes come in and say they wanted to do a half, or they were coming in to do a half, right? And they might have had, but we had a conversation. We're setting expectations. So as you mentioned earlier, okay, you want to do a half Ironman in 6 months. You have no running background. You drown when you swim. Let's talk about this a little bit. Let's get you to maybe doing a mock try in the 6 months at that distance, and then let's sign up for something, right? But we need to crawl before we walk, and we need to walk before we run, right? So, depending on the athlete, we have that conversation. Or maybe they have a really good running background, but they drown when they swim. So, you know what, maybe we're going to do more swimming workouts versus running workouts, right?
Gotcha.
but that's what this assessment is for. So we can talk through that and get them the right type of plan that they can enjoy doing. Because if you're not enjoying the training part of it, and it's like it's useless to even bother signing up for this one-time race, right? Because that's gonna be miserable too.
So in that process, do you find that a lot of your folks, when they're setting these initial goals and moving that direction, that they get a greater passion for the triathlon and the training and move into, start doing those more on a consistent basis? Or do you find that when you're setting these goals for them, that they do the one and done and then just say it's an accomplishment?
I'd say there's probably a 3 in 4 chance that the athlete's going to sign up for another race.
Okay.
Possibly more. For me, I was like hooked the first race. And obviously I've been doing it for 15 years now.
For quite a while.
So, right.
Well,
most athletes do. Now they might not do it forever, right? But they're going to sign up for a second race, and it's probably greater than 75%. I'd probably be willing to say 90%.
Yep. The reason I was asking is, again, it's more of an advanced level, but that's a lot of what I want to do when we're working with people is, we're not just losing 25, 50, 100 pounds, wherever that is. We're building a lifestyle around this. And I want you to almost fall in love with the process and fall in love with the fitness and lifestyle.
It's the lifestyle. Yes.
That you continue that from the day that we start through whenever you decide to stop working with me. Or if you do want to continue working with me, we'll continue to advance whatever that next goal is going to be, whether it's to do, whatever. Oftentimes it could be a show. I'm not into that kind of thing, but it could be any variation. It's just really setting the foundation, laying those bricks so that they can carry all that on for the rest of their lives, whether they're 18 or, teenager up into their 70s, 80s. I don't care.
It's that active lifestyle mentality that I really would love for the athletes to gain out of that, not just the one and done, right, type of experience. Because, in many cases, the athletes I'm training, they are parents. And, I think that's another goal that, would be great for them to consider, is setting that example for their kids of having an active lifestyle. So again, it's not just, you have to be an endurance athlete, but no, you just have to have an active lifestyle that you can, embrace your family with and give them those tools and that mindset to early on to, just be healthy, and the healthiness leads to happiness.
Yeah, absolutely. I apologize, Rob. I've got my dog that's over here. She's having a wonderful time with the mailman at the door.
No worries. All good.
So we're making a little bit of noise on this end, so I apologize, guys. At the end of the day, though, if I could just really jump in from a goal standpoint from what Rob's been talking about. Again, we are focused on 2 different types of training, but at the end of the day, we're influencing the same thing. It's a mindset, it's a lifestyle, it's a process of accomplishing your goals. And once you get to one, you don't want to stop. You want to go to the next thing. So like oftentimes I get asked, I've been strength training since I was 14, become professional through the process of the last 40 years for sure. But there's not a limiting understanding of where I could go. It's just, Marcus, why do you train every day? Well, because I love what I do from an overall physical standpoint. I love to move things through space, but it makes you feel good. You have positive reinforcement from your brain chemicals, all kinds of different benefits. I don't ever get sick. I don't eat perfectly. I mean, I don't think any of us do. You may, but from a goal standpoint, that's at the end of the day has always been my focus. Is just to influence that overall lifestyle.
Yeah. So. Good stuff. I think we have to wrap it up here.
Okay.
At the end of the day, I'm of the mindset, if it's not written down, it's not going to happen. And I don't know if you have your athletes write down their goals, or go through that process, but I highly encourage it if they don't. And right, it's that process.
You think ink it.
Right. Yep.
Well,
I think we'll be able to talk through.
It's got to be adjustable. So if you think,
of course,
sure, but you have to modulate what that's going to be.
Yes. Yeah. But it's just, it's not going to happen if you don't write it down.
Yeah. You have to have something staring you in the face and going, okay.
Yep.
Sure. We'll go into that in other episodes because I think we have a lot more on this topic we need to go into.
Yeah. Well, we also have the new year coming up, and we, of course, we can probably talk about the, New Year's resolutions and,
Yes,
and whatnot, and getting
100%.
into that mindset too. I know I have some thoughts there as well. But
All
so
right, Rob, thanks.
everyone, thank you for joining in. Rob and Marcus here with Friends and Brothers. Again, I am a licensed USAT triathlon coach. Marcus is a certified personal trainer and owner of a local gym in the Atlanta area. You can communicate with us anytime for inquiries on either or both of the matters, whether it's strength, fitness, health, endurance activities. We'll get you on the right path. Thanks again for tuning in. And Marcus, any closing marks from you?
No, man. Have a great day, guys. Set those goals and accomplish them every day.
Yes, every day.
Every day.
Every day, little by little.
That's right. Step by step.
Yep.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Cheers, everyone. Bye-bye.